This is Owl Talk,
a Sigma Pi podcast
featuring stories,
news, updates, and more
from the world of Sigma Pi Fraternity.
Welcome back to another episode of the Owl Talk podcast. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about tradition, and one of the great elements of fraternities is that, as national entities, most fraternities go back well over 100 years. As I'm sure most of our listeners know, Sigma Pi Fraternity traces its history back to 1897, a whopping 128 years ago, almost 129 years ago, coming up in a few months. We know that Sigma Pi Fraternity has been in continuous existence for those 128 years, but what about our chapters? Most of the listeners know that I'm from Delta Beta Chapter at Monmouth University. We trace our history back to 1956, 69 years ago, but we were closed for a 15-year period, and we only reopened as a colony in 1989, so really we just have 36 years of uninterrupted existence. And when we look at the oldest uninterrupted chapters currently operating in Sigma Pi, at the very top of that list is Eta Chapter at Purdue University. Eta Chapter was chartered on June 8th, 1912, and they've been in continuous operation ever since. That's 113 years of Sigma Pi Fraternity at Purdue. Incredible, incredible. Today, to talk about what it's like to lead a 113-year-old chapter, I'm joined by Eta Chapter Sage Gavin Lindsay, second counselor Cody Waling, and third counselor Jason Gottesman. Gentlemen, welcome to the Owl Talk podcast.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. What an intro.
Yeah, it's going on and on, right? All right, guys, I tend to like to start these episodes by letting the guests tell the listeners a little bit more about themselves. Since there's three of you, we'll make this a little bit more formulaic, a little bit more formal. Let's start with Gavin. Maybe you can tell us where you're from, what your major is at Purdue, and which semester did you join Sigma Pi Fraternity?
Yeah, so I am Gavin. I'm a junior from Fishers, Indiana, majoring in business analytics and information management. And I joined Sigma Pi in the spring of 2024. Honestly, been one of the best parts of my time at Purdue.
Awesome. Cody, same questions. Where you're from, what your major is at Purdue, and which semester you joined Sigma Pi Fraternity.
All right. I'm Cody Waling. I dual major in MET and AET. I'm a junior. I joined in spring 2024. I'm pledge brothers with Gavin. And I got to say with Gavin, man, it's been honestly probably the best decision I could have made at college.
Love it. All right, Jason, where are you from? What's your major? And then when did you join Sigma Pi?
I'm from Philadelphia, or just outside of it. Shout out the East Coast, best part of the country. I'm in computer science and game development, sophomore, and I joined my freshman fall semester. So last year, the pledge class right before these two. And yeah, I got to agree with the other two. It's been a really great choice. I'm living there now. I'm here. I'm having a great time.
It's awesome. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that choice. I want to know a little bit more about why you guys joined Sigma Pi. What was it that drew you into a 100-plus-year-old organization like Eta Chapter? What made Sigma Pi stand out on your campus?
I can answer, I guess. For one, I wasn't originally sure I was going to join a fraternity at all, but I had heard some good words about Sig Pi from a friend of mine who had rushed the day prior, and I thought I would give it a shot. And I showed up. Seemed like a good vibe. I got along really well with people. Obviously, as a really long-standing chapter, I didn't know this at the time, but there's a lot of sort of trust in the foundation that's there, and it does show with the brothers that I've met. One of the people I talked to the most at Rush was Gavin, actually. And so he's a very large reason I'm even here, because we just had a great conversation, got along very well. Your typical things you would expect from a quality fraternity. Everyone got along, everyone was easy to talk to, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, talked to him a ton at the Rush events, and for me, that was pretty much the same exact experience. Um, it was just the people. Like during Rush, I clicked with the guys really fast. Conversations felt easy, and then on top of that, like the house itself, it's one of the oldest building or older buildings on campus, oldest fraternity building, and I'm just really kind of like the history of it. When you're going down Russell Street, it's the building that stands out because its architecture is unlike anything that surrounds it. Right across the street is the brand new fancy giant windows whatever honors college, and for us, like, we're right across the street, but we've been here, like you said, over 100 years. So just the huge contrast between the two was also a driving factor for me.
Yeah, so the summer after I graduated high school, I was in this like kind of research, like 2 week research program, and one of the proctors, like the supervisors, his name was Waylon Kroll, and he was a brother of Sigma Pi. And at the very end, they could disclose like all the stuff about Purdue, and he's like, "Dude, roll Pi, you should show up." So I'm like, "All right." So I think it's like the starting day of Rush. I pull up, and I was just expecting like free food, just kind of hanging out, whatever. And the more and more I started talking to everybody, I'm like, dang, this place is like actually kind of cool. So the more I started talking, the more I kind of learned like there's a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of cool people with a lot of different stories. And just, I've never met one person that I don't like. You know what I mean? Like there's always somebody that I can have a conversation with. It's always a good time. And going off of what Gavin said, I mean, I think we are the oldest standing house built for a fraternity in the nation. And especially for Purdue, just I personally, this might be biased, but I think we have the best looking house. I mean, it's honestly way cooler than anything else.
Yeah, house is gorgeous. I've been there a couple of times. Actually,
Yeah.
let's take a little detour and talk about that house. Maybe you can explain to our listeners, where is that house located in terms of the campus? Is it just off campus? Is it
Smack
like
dab in the center.
that's right. It's
Smack
right in the
dab in the
middle of
center. It's
campus.
amazing.
Probably
Like,
one of the best locations out of any
yes.
like residence building that you could have.
Yeah, no, we're in the place called the Island, which is right in between residential campus and actual main campus. And so we're closer than majority of the dorms that Purdue has on campus. And so it's 5-10 minutes, maybe max walk to like all of the buildings. And I mean, you co-rec is a 5 minute walk from here. Pretty much anything
The
that you
co-rec
can
is
need
the
to go
gym,
to.
by the way.
Yeah, sorry, the co-rec is. And yeah, pretty much anything you want is just within walking distance of where we're at.
Yeah. That's like a big reason why this place is awesome because I would hate to be in the acres. So Purdue has this one section of campus way up northwest. It's called the acres where all like the big houses are, kind of secluded. And to get to your classes, it's like a 25-30 minute walk. And especially when it's, December and it's cold, dude, that is going to suck. And it's so nice just popping out the door and being in one of my class buildings in like 5 minutes. It's amazing.
Yeah, for anyone who's out there who's listening who feels like they might be going by or near Purdue University, you got to at least drive by this house and see how directly in the middle of campus it is. It's pretty incredible. I, I want to talk to you guys about what it's like for you to be the leaders of a chapter with over a century of history, like Eta Chapter has. So before we dive into that topic, that's kind of the entree for our listeners. Maybe you can give our listeners some insight into the larger fraternity scene at Purdue. How many fraternities are there? What's the average size of the fraternities on your campus? How many men are in fraternities overall at Purdue? What are the big fraternity events each year? Maybe you could just give us a lay of the land.
Yeah, I'd say the most of the numbers are going to come from the acres. You have like $1 million houses with probably, I'd say 120 members is the average up there. Um, I think there's around like upwards in the high end of 20, probably like around 30 fraternities, I think, right?
So Purdue has the most fraternities, sororities
That's too.
of any college in the nation. And so there's 80 plus fraternities and sororities on campus, not all of them housed, but huge Greek life percentage within
Isn't
the
it like 1 in 4 people is involved in it somehow?
1 in 3. It's 33% of students at Purdue are involved in some sort of Greek life. And so, I mean, it's a huge part of the culture just living on campus and going to Purdue is that aspect of Greek life.
Cool. All right. So you guys are the top three elected leaders for Eta Chapter. What's that like? For my personal context, I was saging my chapter back in 2001, 2002. We had 12, 13 years of continuous operations. You guys are managing a chapter with 100 more years than that. So maybe you can give our listeners some insight into what it's like to be in charge at Eta Chapter.
Well, the house is pretty old. That's not nice. But other than that, I mean, I don't know if being an older house makes too big of a difference leadership wise. Obviously, when the alumni come around, and or for things like this, it is a very big deal. However, the day to day does not change all too much, minus some of the expectations of it. But we're a smaller house, which is good in a lot of ways. One being that everyone knows everyone, so leading people you know is often easier than leading people you don't because that trust has already been built up over time. Which is definitely a big thing that helps with my leadership is because I'm not leading strangers or telling people what to do. I'm not commanding orders at people. I'm just asking my friends for help. And more often than not, people are pretty easygoing about stuff.
Yeah.
I would say that history, yes, is like one of the big things. Just walking through the house, we have composites on the walls that are from before the 1920s. And so when you have history and stuff like that, we have scrapbooks from and logs from like the 1940s, the 1950s. There's a lot of that like history itself. And so first of all, I think the Herald job itself is just so important to a house this old, keeping up with everything, making sure that all of the heirlooms and everything that's been passed down through, I mean, over a century is all kept nice and legible, and that they're reading through and they have the history of all of that. But then, in addition, the rest of the leadership thing is, I mean, you have people in the fraternity that cause havoc every weekend. And so part of dealing with that is also making sure that we keep it safe from all of the people that are causing the havoc, and making sure that we are keeping the house upkept and well, because we want to keep the history and the foundation and everything. And an additional part of that is through the leadership. We have, I'm sure you know, John Kitch, who helps out with everything that we could ever need. He's huge aspect of just the house culture. Him and Dan Lavengood working through that, and just whenever we do have a question on anything, be able to go to them and ask for that support, and all of the additional alumni. Uh, with a house being as old as it is, and as since it's been going on for so long, there's so many different alumni to reach out to for any help dealing with Purdue's IFC, or dealing with if there's a issue with the house that needs upkeep. Since we own our house, we have to take care of all of that. Purdue doesn't do that for us or anything. And so being able to rely on support from everyone is just, I mean, a huge aspect of that leadership.
And like I love being a leader of this house with, you know, the tons and tons and tons of, I guess, backstory that this house has. There's a lot of insight. I mean, every year when we have our alumni dinner, you have we've had alumni from the 60s that come up and tell us about their time at the house. And a lot of them give us some good insights. I know all the EC members. We had a big conversation with all the alumni, as many as we could, and like having that kind of helping hand was really nice. And going back from the alumni and the brothers, it's a closely knit house, so as Jason was saying, like everyone knows everybody. It's a real nice environment. So there's a lot of kind of lifting each other up at the same time. We're not this high power over everybody else just because we're EC. We're brothers like the rest of the people, and just kind of having like that group to kind of lift this whole house up as one is pretty cool. Yeah.
You guys have a lot of lore with that
Oh,
many
yeah.
alumni.
Yes.
Living embodiment of aura.
Many stories.
I can imagine.
Many stories. Some stories I wish I didn't hear.
And there are some that like you don't even know about. Like you could live in this house for 2 years, and then some alumni will come back and be like, "Oh yeah, this like wall here, 87 years ago, this wall was like something else." And it's like, okay, geez.
When I first came through this house, there's this one alumni that told this brother that told it to me. He's like, we're going up this one staircase, and it's toward the middle of the house on the west side. And he's like, why do you think this floor is slanted? I'm like, I don't know. It's poor construction. Well, he's like, well, back in 1987, believe it or not, there was a helicopter that crashed like right into our house.
Jeez.
So back in 1987, they were filming this marathon going through, and they're for some sort of news channel, and the tail rotor broke. And you can look it up on YouTube. If you just look up 1987 Purdue Sigma Pi helicopter crash, you'll find it on YouTube. But you can see it spiraling down, coming right onto our house and crashing like right into the side of the house. So that was like a cool little tidbit that I learned like when I first joined.
Oh my God.
There's endless stories like that.
Yeah, I was like, I remember when I first heard that story as well, because that was the room that I was moving into.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember moving in and like we got it was like a marble or something, and it rolled across the floor. And I was like, huh, that's weird. And then as I was talking with some of the brothers, they were like, oh yeah, like a helicopter crashed into like this specific part of the house. And I'm like, well, that's like random information out of nowhere. But at the same time, I looked it up, and the camera itself is the footage from the helicopter as it spins down and crashes. And you can see the brothers in the video rush out to like try to help the people get out of the helicopter. Thankfully, no one was injured too badly or anything.
Yeah.
So, but
it's wild. It's wild. Yeah, and I mean to just have people randomly, like alumni, randomly come to the house and tell you stories like that you can then validate with media from YouTube. Wow,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I remember when I was there. God, who did I meet? I met with Hunter and like Drew and Nicholas Pierce. There was Austin Ryan was there, and they were telling me stories like this. The house was undergoing some renovations at the time, and they would give me the stories behind the different rooms and the different levels of the house, and wow, it was just mind blowing. Hey, you've mentioned the alumni, and you mentioned some great alumni volunteers a few minutes ago. You must have thousands of guys who've joined Eta Chapter over the years. What's it like communicating with what is essentially an unbroken chain of alumni who go back 113 years? Like what's the oldest alumni you've interacted with?
I think the oldest one I talked to, he said he graduated in 67. So, I'd say that's pretty old. I mean, I'm 20 years old. I'm nowhere near that. But it's really cool kind of seeing everyone's story, and how you talk to more alumni throughout the years and how their kind of story with the house kind of progresses. A lot of alumni that we really talk to a lot are a bunch of old chapter directors, past sages that kind of stick with the housing board and become chapter directors. I'll draw some names like Larry Pincus, Dan Lavengood. They always come by all the time to help out with our summer cleaning events. They'll stop by for, I think, some philanthropy events. Last year, I think it was last spring, the Grand Sage and the Grand Herald paid a visit, and we kind of showed them around, and a bunch of our alumni were there for that as well. So they're pretty active, especially John Kitch. I mean, can't really talk about him enough. He was the Grand Sage back in '04, and he's done so much for this house. And I mean, Gavin and Jason know it. When he came to talk to us, he made sure every T was crossed and every I was dotted. I mean, he would ask us about our rituals, like if we had enough supplies for everything, made sure everything was taken care of. So there's a lot of people that actually care past graduation, which is really neat.
Very good men. Very
Yeah.
good men you have there. Hey, maybe you guys can talk to our listeners about some of Eta Chapter's regular ongoing program. That is, are there specific projects that you undertake every year, specific philanthropies that you support, maybe recruitment programs you do on an annual basis, stuff like that?
Yeah, I could talk about that. So, our main philanthropy is Ace Food Pantry. It's right across the street from us, and we help them provide food, especially for Purdue students who can't afford food because of tuition or whatever the reason is. That and other supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, tissues, just kind of whatever we can help them with. And so we not only raise funds for them, but we help pick up supplies from the church and load it into their storage area, sort everything. Um, we do all of that. And then one of our biggest philanthropy events that we have that supports them is our car smash. So we do a car smash every semester during dead week, right before finals. Everyone's stressed. Helps to take your anger out with a hammer on a car. So we tow it into the parking lot, and we have them come up and pay a couple dollars, and they get to go to town on this car for 3 minutes or whatever it is, and release some of that anger. And then it also helps the food pantry that's helping literally the other people on this campus, people that they interact with daily.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you get to first of all go right across the street, so there's no excuse for the guys not being able to show up. They can
Mm-hmm.
roll out of bed and be there, and then take out some frustration by beating the hell out of a car. I love that.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so much
And
fun.
it's so fun watching the buff guys come up. And they're like, "Yeah, I got this." And they'll get the big sledgehammer, and they just go to town. And you're like, "Man, I feel bad for that car."
Love it. So let's talk about what's next. As the current leaders of your chapter, what do you see coming up for Eta Chapter in the next few months, maybe the next year, maybe even longer?
Definitely in the next few years would be just growth in general. If you ever come by and take a look at our composites, I don't think we've ever had a year where the number has gone down within the last, I'd say, 15 to 20 years. And so we are the biggest this house has ever been, and I really don't see any signs of that stopping. So I think there's going to be continuous growth in numbers, and then continuous growth in just developing skills of each individual here at this house. I mean, the more people you have and the more backgrounds you have, the more part of a brotherhood you build, sort of thing.
Okay. Sigma Pi Fraternity has a new slogan. It is "Find Your Purpose." Maybe each of you can talk about what the slogan means to you and how Sigma Pi helped you find your purpose.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, joining a fraternity is something you do in college. And there's no real place where you're meant to find your purpose or look for it as college. That's what you're there for. It's very much a bridge to adulthood from high school to, the workforce and being a full adult. And obviously, as we've already said before, joining the house was a very big part of our college lives and experiences so far. And I guess the find your purpose to me just sort of extends that. The people I'm in this house with are going to be with me for the rest of my life. And um, I am still finding my purpose. What do I want to do with my life? Where do I want to take myself after college or even during college? But every single step of the way, this house has been here. I mean, I live there. I hang out with these people all day, all night. They help me when I'm down. I help them when they're down. And I don't really see an end to that. So, through that, I'm just going to figure it out eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, back in high school, thought I had it all figured out. I mean, you're a kid. I mean, I still am a kid, so I really don't know what I'm really doing with my life. But like Jason said, it is a bridge to adulthood, and I would like to say that I'm, getting a step closer every day. And I will say, without a doubt, just this house, not even the physical house, just the people that make the house up, really helped me along with that, especially the older brothers. When I was a freshman or even last year, I got tons of insight on any kind of problem I was facing, whether that was or uh, personal or what I want to do here in college or what I want to do after college for a job, just kind of any sort of problem. There's always a hand that I could reach towards. um, so I really think that you know joining Sigma Pi or even any fraternity in general, I mean, I highly advocate for being a part of Greek life, because you really do advance your sense of finding purpose, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And then for me, I mean, it really is just about figuring out again who you are. It's what Jason and Cody have said. College is one of those moments where you are completely kind of on your own. You're finally out of the house, away from your parents, away from their influence on controlling what you do, what you've become. And you're kind of out there to think on your own, make all the decisions on your own, schedule everything. And it really is one of those points where you have to kind of step up and take that responsibility and figure out what you want to do with it. And I think Sigma Pi has really helped me in just like developing not only who I want to become, but what I want to do. Um, Going into college, I never expected myself to rush a fraternity. I thought I was going to make my friends during freshman orientation, which I did. I still have my friend group outside of the house as well. But I just realized there was something more I was looking for. And Sigma Pi at Purdue really gave that to me. It gave me a brotherhood. It gave me people to talk to at 1 a.m. about everything and nothing at the same time. Um, these people have really made a difference in what I've become, helped me develop my character and realize what I want to do with my job and my life. And I can really be me in this house, which is not something that everybody finds on a college campus. But I feel like no matter who I'm around or what they may be trying to offer for me, it's almost always they have my best interest in mind as well. And so they're not going to lead me astray. They're going to support me through kind of anything that I need help with. And I'm also there to support them. And so I think that that's part of just finding your purpose is realizing who you want to be, what you want to do, who you're going to surround yourself with, because those are all a part of who you are.
No one does that better than Sigma Pi. Those were great answers, guys. It reminds me a lot, and I mention this every couple of podcasts, but it reminds me a lot of what past Grand Sage Steve Lawler used to say about Sigma Pi Fraternity. It really is your home away from home, and it's where you can find yourself, be yourself, and then grow into the person that you're going to become. So really, really good answers, gentlemen. Hey, this was great, guys. This was awesome. Thank you for joining us. Hey, before we go, do you have any final parting words for our listeners?
Roll pie.
Roll Pi, baby.
Well, bye.
Let's go. Hey, if our listeners want to find you guys and if they want to find Eta Chapter online, where should they look?
Sigma Pi Purdue on Instagram. We used to have a Facebook page. We don't anymore.
We have
Yeah,
a website now, I'm pretty
we
sure.
do have
I
a
think
website. Yeah, we
it's
just
not fully updated, but our names and emails and everything are on there. So if you want to reach out, absolutely feel free.
And then, my social media tag is at GG Funky.
Let's go,
Jay
G.
Funky.
Yeah. Are we doing a little shameless plug here?
Yeah, go for it. Why
I'm
not?
Cody.Waling _ 2.0 or Cody Waling _ 2.0, I think.
Jason Gott, follow me. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you guys for being guests on Owl Talk.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
having us.
Anytime. Thank
Yeah.
you for having us.
You can stay up to date on the latest in the world of Sigma Pi Fraternity by following us across social media. We are at Sigma Pi, all one word, on Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and Facebook. On YouTube, we are at Sigma Pi Fraternity, also one word. Remember, you can always get the latest information on Sigma Pi Fraternity at sigmapi.org. Thank you to everyone who listened to this episode, and we look forward to you joining us for the next Owl Talk podcast.